Star Cowboys podcast, presented by Haymaker. Now here's your host, Kevin K.T. Turner.
Happy holidays, world. It is the One Star Cowboys podcast. We're live at the Haymaker Network studios in Frisco, Texas. I'm Kevin Turner. We have John Machota. We have Saad Youssef. We've got Kent Garrison back in the control room, doing control room things, hanging out. And man, it was a tough loss the other day to the Chargers. 2 games left. John, you get to spend your Christmas in Washington, D.C. How about that?
Yeah, I'm real excited about that.
The worst stadium?
Yeah, not even close.
The worst stadium, Christmas Day, noon.
Press box food, terrible.
Where you want to be.
I'm going to get a Christmas Day hot dog.
But it's an honor and a privilege for you to cover this team for 15 years?
It is, yes. Yep.
15 years.
Time flies, man. All those winning seasons and Super Bowls.
So Jerry said they underachieved. I don't know, honestly. It's not that hard to go back to early October when we were like, is there a path to 7 wins? So I don't know if they did underachieve.
What do you remember what the preseason over-under was?
7.5, right?
I think it was 7.5.
Yeah. They're about around schedule.
Yeah.
I mean, it changed when they traded Micah and moved down like a game or 2 after that happened. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's probably around 7 games, yeah.
I would say let's jump into it because I think the hot topic right now in Cowboys land, because we're not really going to talk about stuff that happened too much Sunday. We'll get into some injury stuff in a minute. But there's Tyler Smith moving to left tackle. Let me first ask you this. Was that move to left tackle on Sunday out of necessity or out of future evaluation?
I would say that I still believe left tackle is the most important offensive line position, and there just hasn't been a lot of stability there. They believe Tyler Guyton can be that guy, but it's been injuries. That's the whole thing, and it's not just like game injuries. It's that he's not practicing during the week, and so being in a second year, they're just not seeing like enough from him to know for certain, so why not try this out? And Tyler Guyton was a right tackle at Oklahoma, and that's not that far removed. I mean, this is only his second season, so I could see a path where they go into next year with Tyler Guyton at right tackle and Tyler Smith at left tackle. And for me, personally, I'm interested in the move because I'm bored with the idea of them using one of those first-round picks on another offensive lineman. Yeah. So if this prevents you from doing that, I'm all for it. So I think that's part of it as well. The offensive line just hasn't been good enough. There's too many games where after it's over, we're talking to Brian Schottenheimer, and he's talking about how, Dak just got hit way too much. And with his injury history, where he's at in his career, 10 seasons in, you got to have a good offensive line in front of him. And so if that means Tyler Smith is your left tackle, then that's what you do.
Yeah, I also think just the way that their roster is currently constructed, you have more in the interior. You have guys like Brock Hoffman or TJ Bass who are a little bit more, you feel a little more comfortable with. And that's, of course, the whole offseason is coming up, so they'll have free agency in the draft. But I'm saying even if you just had to go based off what you have right now, would you rather have Nate Thomas, which that was a good thing for like half a game or whatever about what that could be for the future. But in reality, I do think that when you look at their interior situation, it's in a stronger spot than what they have on the edges. And so I think that's part of it as well, because TJ Bass or Brock Hoffman, if you have to do something with Cooper Beebe and move him around, like you're able to do that. But I don't think that they have those options on the edges.
And this is bad news for Terrence Steele, clearly, right? I mean, it's a contract you can get out of. You still have a little bit of dead money to carry, but you'd have some cap savings and things like that. You could also trade him, like after June 1st. I mean, Terrence Steele and Trevon Diggs are your 2 big-time cut candidates, I would say. They're kind of glaring. And we've known this, I don't know, since the first press conference of training camp. So, like, they're ready to move on.
By name.
Yeah, by name. Very strange.
And then also, he's the only one
that
has stayed healthy all season. He's the only one out of that front 5 that has played in every game. And if you go back through Mike McCarthy's 5 years, one of the biggest things that worked against him is he never had continuity on the offensive line. There was always injuries. And then you saw it again this year.
Yeah.
But Steele was the only one that didn't. He played every single game. So, yeah, it will be interesting. But, yeah, with the money he's being paid, that it's likely that they move in another direction there.
Also, real quick, Mike McCarthy used to say something about, you need 3 first-round picks on the offensive line. You already have that. So if you use it to John's point, if you have to spend another premium draft capital, You just have way too many needs elsewhere. You already invested 3 with Booker, Guyton, and with the Tylers, and I think you have to make that work. And Cooper Beebe has been fine. He's been a good center, so I don't think you have anything to worry there either. So you're really just trying to shuffle the pieces around. And I don't think that Guyton is really a player that he's getting into a territory where he's shedding his draft status a little bit. You got to start putting your best player out there. And if Guyton is best at right tackle, you have to make that happen. At this point, you can't say, well, we invested a first-round pick, left tackle super important, and you're just shoving him where he's not either healthy enough to stay there, and you're putting a spinner all the time at the most important position on the offense outside of quarterback. You can't afford to do that.
I think also, like, when you think about the Guyton playing right tackle, we're just going off of college, which was 2 years ago as well. But from a money and franchise, roster building standpoint, it does make sense to move on from Terrence Steele, who is 28 now. He'll be 29, I think, by the time next season starts. So, it's like, yeah, we've seen that experiment. It is interesting you say, though, he's the one that's been healthy. Also, I think about the risk for me, though, is like Tyler Smith, we know, is a very good left guard. Moving that was something they never wanted to do with Zach Martin. It's something they could have done. Zach Martin didn't really want to do it.
That's the key part of that, too.
And that's where, it gets a little interesting. Tyler Smith's like, I'll do whatever, I guess. There's a lot of stuff going around on Twitter, which that's every day. But people throwing out the idea of a bit of conspiracy that the Cowboys might have made this deal with Terrence Steele because they could pay him. I mean, with Tyler Smith, to sign him at guard, you pay him a little less, and then we'll move him eventually. Now, a lot of that's been refuted. It's been thrown out there too. We don't know the actual verbiage on the contract, but it's been tossed out that there could be a clause in there that it takes his pay up if they were to move him to tackle. So it does feel like a decision they will make clearly before the season starts next year.
I'm just blown away with the idea that this was the plan all along. You waited till the train completely off the tracks, and then for 3 meaningless games, now you move him to tackle?
Yeah.
Also, by the way, his money right now at guard, he's the highest paid interior offensive lineman in the history of the NFL. Mm-hmm. If you move him to tackle, he would move into, I think, 5th amongst the left tackles. I'm talking about on average annual salary.
Yeah.
And then you add in, there's 3 more right tackles that are ahead of him. So he would be the 8th highest paid offensive tackle. How do you know that he's even the 8th best offensive tackle in the league? Just because he's a dominant guard. I do think he'll be a good tackle, but to just assume, he's going to be just as good at tackle as guard, so we'll get him for a little bit cheaper. You don't know that. So while there are a lot of things that you can criticize the Cowboys for, I just think it's a little bit laughable that that's become a storyline right now.
Yeah, also, John tweeted this quote from Tyler after the game, which I thought was, Tyler Smith is an honest interview. He's usually pretty.
He's awesome.
He's
one of the
great.
best guys I've been around my 15 years covering the team.
For sure. He really his interview after the Pittsburgh win last year was one of my favorite ones when he's talking about Jalen Tolbert getting hit in the balls or something.
Oh yeah,
it was great. He's great. If Dak wasn't in that locker room, he'd probably win that good guy award a lot more often. But no, this quote where he said that, quote, I honestly have no idea about if it was temporary or long-term because there were injuries and things like that. But he said, also, I am a smart player. I understand who I am, where I am, and ultimately what I'm getting paid to do. I'm going to be smart. We'll have those conversations when we have those conversations. I don't think that this is something that is off the radar for him. You're not going to sneak one by him in that. And I also don't, but to John's point, I don't think that's what the Cowboys are doing. And I don't think that that's really fair to place that on it. I think it's 30 years of just frustration with the front office that just gets thrown in that way.
But isn't it kind of a compliment to the front office just from a business standpoint? If you did do something like this, not that we're believing this conspiracy or whatever's been tossed around, but if you did do something like that to move a guy, you did, the actual vision was to move him anyways. That would actually be complimenting the Joneses for the way they did business. John's point stands. It's week 17. The week
He's played left
16,
tackle
let's-
before. He
let's
played left
run it out
tackle his
there.
rookie year when Tyron
Yeah.
Smith went down. So this isn't this just big. Okay, we're moving Trevon Diggs, the linebacker.
Sure.
Now, where did this come from? Like, I mean, like, what are we talking about
Dude,
here?
give me that, actually.
I would think safety would probably be more likely than
A
linebacker.
game at linebacker for Trevon Diggs, that might ramp up the chance that he gets hurt.
Yeah. On a side note, where that kind of stuff is a bigger issue to me is really mostly when it comes to like the franchise tag. It's not so much
Sure.
with like contracts and long term, but specifically with linebackers versus edge rushers. And we always had that discussion when Micah was here too. I think that's where it's a
How'd that
bigger
work out?
thing.
Did he get paid like a linebacker? I missed that. Did he get paid?
Yeah.
Highest paid defensive player on the Packers?
He got paid okay.
Oh, this year? Oh, ever. Wow. I thought he was going to get paid like a linebacker.
Ever.
That's
So
crazy.
when yeah,
Ever.
so like when it's contracts, I don't think it's really ever an issue. It's more just when you're doing franchise tag designations,
Yeah.
when it's a little bit of an issue.
And then speaking of the defense, that's another reason why you don't want to have to use another one on the offensive line.
Yeah.
You look at these other teams that are going to be in the playoffs for the NFC, you can see, well, we could use another offensive lineman. Let's use our one on that. Because they actually have a defense. The Cowboys need so many things to go right for them in the offseason on defense that you have to be focused on whether you use both ones on defense or if you use one of them and then you trade back. Like, let's say that I was talking to Dane Brugler about this, and he said that this is not a great draft to trade back on. So I'm writing this for tomorrow on The Athletic,
Okay.
that this is just not real loaded for where teams are going to want to trade up. There's just not a lot of guys that you're going to come up for, like quarterbacks, elite players like that. But if they can find a partner, let's say they added an extra 2 2s or a 2 and a 3, whatever it is, I could still see, because they don't have a second or third because of obviously the trades that they've made, but I could see them even with all 3 of those picks all being on defense, which is how bad the defense is. So
Yeah.
all the other teams that are in the playoffs, because I do think this Cowboys team can be a playoff team next year. But you look at the teams that are in the playoffs right now, they don't have the holes on defense that this Cowboys team does.
I mean, doesn't everything that's happened in the last week show you how wide open the NFC is? I still can't pin down who the 2 best teams are in the NFC.
I mean, you could say NFL too, though.
For sure. And a year where the Chiefs and the Ravens, Ravens.
Yeah, you think Bo Nix is putting that thing on his back, taking it all the way?
I don't.
Bo Nix
And
and
I'm not
Sam
even
Darnold.
sure I feel that way about Drake May.
I will feel like a fool if Bo Nix and Sam Darnold are in the Super Bowl. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh, my God. I'll say the same thing. And he's already played in a Super Bowl about Brock Purdy, too. I should apologize
he's
to
not
that young man.
he's not on that same level.
Yeah.
I've seen him make big throws
Yeah.
in some real big games.
Yeah.
So
And also it's just with Brock Purdy, he has the ecosystem is so fantastic for him. I mean, literally Christian McCaffrey might be one of the most valuable players, offensive players in the league. And then you have the wide receivers, even without Ayuk, you have Dwan Jennings and Pearsall when he comes back, and Kittle's fantastic. Shanahan's fantastic. It's just it's Brock Purdy is not in that category for me either, but Brock Purdy is in his own category of where I would have a very hard time evaluating him on an open market if I'm trying to pay him, if I'm trying to snatch him away and put him on my own team. I have no idea how to read him as a quarterback because there's so much stuff involved with him.
I can't get past that Week 18 game last year between the Lions and Vikings with everything on the line with the way Sam Darnold played. So until he is in another one of those situations and overcomes it, then I'll reassess the situation.
And both of Darnold's games against the Rams this year too. The first one he had 4 picks, and I know that comeback was great, but let's not forget Rashid Shaheed had a punt return for a touchdown, and they had that weird 2-point conversion. It's not like Sam Darnold was Tom Brady against the Falcons in the Super Bowl and just putting that thing on his back.
It was also a clear game plan to keep the ball out of his hands.
Yeah.
Like very Kellen Moore with Jalen Hurts a couple years ago. Let's not. And then, okay, we have to now. We're down by 16. That's what it felt like. Very sneaky 11-4 49ers team. They're probably the least talked about team because they had some injuries and then
Could be the 1 seed.
The Tankathon update, though, we'll say right now, because the Packers lost to the Bears Saturday night, the Cowboys would have the 13th and 21st pick in the draft. So there's that. We'll worry about that at a later date. Kent, wait. Now, first of all, Saad said the F word, so I need to think about this. You said franchise tag. That's 2 words. But just here we are now, around Christmas time. Franchise tag candidate. Who's the most likely franchise tag candidate for the Cowboys?
It's George Pickens.
George Pickens. Okay, who's 2?
Brandon Aubrey.
Brandon Aubrey. Okay.
And both of their situations, it's because of their agents, as far as I'm concerned.
Kinda
I know the track record with both of those agents with the Cowboys. That's the reason why. Like to the point where I'm counting on one of those two to have the franchise tag. There will not be. I will be stunned if they went into training camp. They're like, no, they got deals done with both those guys. I mean, it can't even be like, maybe if there's David Mulligetta represents both or Todd France represents both, you maybe get a package deal done or you get some good, you go out to Indianapolis for the combine and they get on the bus and you get some good mojo there. Like, they have the two guys that are not going to take deals from the Dallas Cowboys. So one of those guys is getting the franchise tag.
I kind of like franchise tagging the kicker as a strategy. In this case.
How much are you trying to pay the wide receiver? Is he going to be the highest paid wide receiver in NFL history?
No, we're not going to go that high.
What if that's what he's looking for?
Yeah, well, we're going to have
Let's be real here. We're not going to be the Twitter people. We're going to be real about this.
We're getting a comp pick back then.
Yeah.
I mean.
You think he's taking a bargain? You think David Mulligetta is going to say,
franchise tagging him for a year and you'll figure out the kicker. But I don't think you have to pay a kicker either. Even this one, who we all love and adore. I don't think you have to pay this.
You do love and adore.
I know you don't. You also don't have to get yourself in a Maher situation because of not caring. Like,
you could just go to the UFL or whatever it's called now and find another one, right?
MLS guy. Like,
is that how it works?
Find a software engineer.
Engineer.
Who deserves a kick?
I agree with you though. I think kicker, if you don't have any other candidates, it is a very good candidate for if you have the best kicker, top 3 kicker in the league, you pay him a top 5 average salary for a year, and then you just kind of keep that rolling and then just pay him when you have to because you have another franchise tag candidate. But I do think Pickens is a very big candidate.
I just don't live in a world where Todd France is going to be like, nah, you can get number 5 kicker money.
Yeah.
Like with the stuff Brandon Aubrey does, he's going to want, let me think, number 1 kicker money is what he's going to want. He's not going to settle for, well, just be the 5th best. You're on a team. You love living in Dallas. No state tax. Like, come on. Okay. We're not doing this.
Harrison Butker, 6.5 a year. Jake Elliott, 6 a year. So
the thing I would do with Aubrey, though, the thing
6.5 is probably the franchise. It's the estimated franchise tag as of right now for kickers. So highest paid kicker.
Yep.
The thing with Aubrey that I would try to do, and it's risky, but I would try to get like a long-term deal, like as in something that can get your cap hit down lower. You don't have the injury concerns. You're betting on him not Dan Baileying this thing, which Dan Bailey thing happened way late in his career anyways. But I would try to go beyond the 3-4 years and try to go long and try to get the cap hit down.
5 at 35 would give you 7 a year, the highest paid kicker in the league.
And where I want to bring everybody back to reality is that, again, if you know these two agents, this isn't just
Todd
look
France
at their track records.
They're not playing that way.
Did Micah sign for a deal?
No, yeah, you're right.
When you get that deal for Deshaun Watson, you've changed the game. You're not getting nobody's taking bargains on your watch again after that. So the idea that, like, yes, there always are these scenarios, and I see them all the time on Twitter, like, they should have signed Pickens during the season. They should have Aubrey already done. You don't understand. There's also another side. Does Jerry deserve a lot of blame? Of course. He drags things out. I'm not saying that he doesn't. But, like, the guys that you're dealing with that represent them, they're not sitting there trying to come in there and be the first one to make the phone call either.
Yeah.
Like, look at their track record of the players they signed. They do not take bargain deals on any of their top guys. And both of these guys, George Pickens, we just saw today, going to the Pro Bowl as expected. Brandon Aubrey, best kicker in the NFL. Like, I just don't see them taking a bargain on either one of them to try and help out the Dallas Cowboys. Honestly, they won't say this publicly. They probably really don't even like Jerry Jones. And Jerry probably doesn't like them either, you know?
Well, yeah, and that's the business they're in. That's not uncommon. I think it's wild to think of a world without Brandon Aubrey or George Pickens on your team next year.
Yeah.
Because it does make you go, well, the George Pickens for sure makes you go, well, they're not going to be as good as I thought they would be.
Yeah.
Especially if we're just going to go all defense. Ready for Ryan Flanoy, wide receiver 2? I'm not quite there yet.
No, but I threw this out to John before where, in a joking way, but not completely, is, with Ryan Flanoy, the way he's been playing, like, if things get dirty with Pickens, I feel like Jerry will be able to talk himself into Ryan Flanoy, wide receiver 2, but I don't really see it coming down to that. It was more of like a joke type thing.
Yeah.
But I think Ryan Flanoy is working himself into becoming one of the better wide receiver 3s in the NFL. I don't think that's a stretch to say. I think it's what you probably hoped Jalen Tolbert would have been, but he wasn't. And if you
Jonathan Mingo.
Yeah, Jonathan Mingo. But if you flop the draft statuses of Flanoy and Tolbert, you'd feel pretty good about that.
Sure. Yeah. Hey, for everyone that was a high draft pick, you find someone who, wasn't way back. Kent, I think now is the time that we should go see what's going on inside that blue tent. Oh, still got that iPad there. Trevon Diggs is out of there, though. He's not in there like he was last week. Outside? Okay. Quick Trevon Diggs thought, because we could probably put this to rest for a while. We now feel like, with the reporting we've seen, we know what happened.
Do we?
No, not at all.
Okay.
But the TV mount and all that stuff.
Sure.
I don't like the guy who says he definitely wants to be here, but then is still not accountable for any actions, and we're going to throw some teammates under the bus. Whether it was cover 2 or not, whatever the call was, it doesn't matter. You quit running on the play, and that says a lot. So don't tell me during the week that you want to be here. You just say whatever. You don't have to say you want to be here. Why does that bother me the most? I don't know.
No, and here's where I'll push back on that a little bit. You can't realistically expect him to say anything else at this point in the season. Like, we all kind of know he doesn't want to be here, and we know the Cowboys are going to cut him, and we've been saying that all year long. But if you have just if the PR team, whether it's his own or the Cowboys, it's the easiest thing. Hey, you just got to say, they're going to ask you, you got to say you want to be here. Of course he's going to say that. You can't expect him to say anything different. To me, it's the other stuff that speaks volumes and is more his honest, genuine self. I'm not really mad at him for saying he wants to be here, though, because I kind of disagree. I think he has to say that. There's no way. Maybe it's different after week 18, but there's no way there's 2 games left on the schedule and he's just going to, and someone asks him, do you want to be here? And he's going to be like, no, I don't. I just don't see that being like a realistic scenario for him in a press conference.
I mean,
who was a Baylor wide receiver from the Browns when they did Hard Knocks?
Corey Coleman.
Corey Coleman. Trade me.
Just get rid of him.
Could do that. I mean, Hard Knocks is covering the team right now.
Yeah. You guys been watching that?
Yeah.
Not as much as I probably should, but
I've gotten.
It's been bad.
I think I've gotten a little bored with Hard
It's terrible.
Knocks. Wait.
Like
You think? Like this just.
Oh no! Just like try to watch it, and you feel like, okay, I'm just gonna fast forward to the cowboy parts at this point.
Yeah.
First episode, I watched it all, but I don't need to see anymore.
Yeah, I think the problem isn't because, I mean, it's easy to be critical of Hard Knocks because their name's on it, but I think a big part of it is that the teams have final say on what gets in, and so for you, please don't think that what they're putting out there is like, well, that's the best stuff we got this week. There's a lot of stuff that they're going to have that team's going to look it over and be like, that's not going in there, that's not going in there. I'm telling you, go back to that time that Dak got hurt at training camp with McCarthy, and the way McCarthy was joking, and Dak said back to him like he was real serious about, and then who was it? Garrett Gilbert was talking about taking the reps, and the way that Dak snapped at him, I was like, man, this is going to be great. Those next 4 episodes sucked.
Yeah.
That obviously changed because
a
lot of us wrote about that first episode. We were like, this is going to be amazing. Yeah.
And we've seen it before with Saquon Barkley situation with the Giants GM, and the bar gets set high because back in the day when Chad Johnson's getting cut in the Miami Dolphins office, like that's great theater, but it also kind of makes the team look bad for treating a receiver. Of course, he kind of brought it upon himself with the legal issues, but point is, like, I think it's great for the viewer, but then the team doesn't want to deal with the backlash. So.
But like I've told you before, Saad, and I've said this many a times on the Saquon Barkley thing, if we go back to that, who's the highest ranking person with the Giants? It's John Mara. Why wouldn't he want that out there?
Yeah.
He would be the one saying, no, leave that in so that all of the fans of my team can see I wanted no part of trading Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So even on that, because I know that people have used that before, it's like, man, they give you this great behind the scenes. No. It's always something that's working for somebody.
Yeah. And also it's low-hanging fruit a little bit too, because to be honest, regardless of what Saquon did in 2024, it was the right move for the Giants to move on from Saquon Barkley because he was not going to do that or help the Giants win. The best thing that they did for the New York Giants was to get rid of him so that they can get a better draft choice because they were not going to do anything. But I think that takes a little bit of an elevated fan perspective. But your general fan, the one that just turns the TV on Sundays, is going to be like, look, Saquon's doing this for our rival team, bad Giants, and I think that's very low-hanging fruit.
Ryan Flanoy has avoided a serious knee injury, so that's good news. You do want to see more out of him, like what to find out, like how good is he? I don't think anyone wants him to be the wide receiver 2 next year, but
he showed some flashes in training camp last year with like Trey Lance and in some of the preseason games. So it's not like it's a complete surprise. It's just that like even the catch on Sunday that got called back because of the holding. I mean, that's a great catch, man. That's not just like number 3 wide receiver, great catch. That's a good catch for anybody in the NFL. And so he's definitely done enough to be their number 3. And honestly, what we see on the field proves it. You just see him out there way more than he was earlier in the year. And it's not like Jalen Tolbert's healthy, Jonathan Mingo's healthy, Kevontae Turpin's healthy. Yeah.
We're seeing a couple different strategies in the NFL too. You have teams that really do want to go spin on 2 wide receivers and make that work. Cincinnati's the obvious one. The Eagles are one that like to do that. The Cowboys could be going down that way. The Lions, the Vikings trying to do that with Jordan Addison. And then you have kind of the receiver by committee teams. The Packers, the Chiefs are kind of doing that a little bit. Sometimes those teams are like more focused on the tight end position. I do think it's interesting to like watch that and though, like how good can you be? I'm not concerned about my wide receiver 3 being, tremendous if we're putting all our assets on 1 and 2, and that's the focal point of the offense. The Rams are another one that we're seeing very clearly there. I mean, the ball, their touchdowns are, it's going to Devontae Adams, it's going to Puka Nacua, and that's about it. And that's like interesting to me. I like that. So my wide receiver 3, I'm not as like concerned about.
And you have to factor in your owner and general manager love the big offense. They love the big play wide receiver. So that's going to be a factor too. That's why I don't believe that they'll let Pickens leave in any way this season coming up. Now, I also didn't think he'd let Micah go, so there is that.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's the only time I've ever been wrong, though.
Yeah.
Mike, everything else I've been right. Ever. Yeah.
I also think that it's, again, we've talked about it before, where it's easy to criticize the front office, and they've earned a lot of that, but I don't think you pay your quarterback $60 million and then just ask him to do everything, which is what the approach that they were kind of taking in terms of post-game quotes of just like, well, we paid him $60 million, but like if you get a Lamborghini, you need to make sure everything is in check. The insurance policy has to be top notch. The amenities, everything has to be there. You can't just expect Dak to do all of it by himself. It's clear the identity of the team is going to be the offense. You traded away Micah. Dak is getting paid what he is, CD as well. I think you have to make sure that he's surrounded for these next 2-3 years of this contract. He's surrounded with the best chance to succeed.
Also in the blue tent, Quinnen Williams and Overshown. I mean, it's kind of not funny, but like how many of these guys like went down, Overshown getting hurt in the first half of the game. Just looking around, you're going, okay, remember all these guys that came in to help 4 weeks ago? And like, we're not getting much out of these guys because they're all hurt right now. Ron Bland hurt too. So, last 2 weeks of the year, they're, saying they want to win and all that stuff. I do believe they're going to do that.
I believe that for the Washington game.
Yeah.
I'm not completely sold on the Giants game yet.
Don't see any reason to do it.
I mean,
we talked about this last week.
Patrick Mahomes' injury has to be front and center of. It's not just,
100%.
As much as Dak and Jerry and Schottenheimer want to talk about finishing the season with momentum, well, it can be some real bad momentum if you were to lose Dak Prescott and then all of a sudden he's missing games at the start of next year. What kind of momentum did you build off of that? So that has to be a factor too, especially if what's your offensive line that you're starting in front of them? Like, who else is playing? I will say Quinnen Williams, Schottenheimer said yesterday that he was close. Okay. So I think he plays possibly against Washington, whereas Overshown, you're going to get a concussion and then play on the Thursday game right after. Like, that's not going to happen.
Yeah,
you're not going to clear protocol in 4 days.
Also, I'm sorry. I just don't buy the momentum to end the season carries into 2026 in any meaningful, tangible way. Game to game, fine, but
ever or just with this team?
Maybe ever, but not to a point where I would risk. The risk never outweighs the reward to me.
The only reason I'm saying this is why I'll never say ever on that is just because if you move the Eagles, Chiefs, and Lions games to the end of the season, Mahomes doesn't get hurt. So let's just hypothetically say that. And those are all 3 teams trying to make the playoffs, and you win all 3 of those games, I could easily see how you can build off that going into now what they're going through right now. I will agree with you. I don't think, oh, wow, did you beat the Giants? Oh, wow. We're ready next year. Wow, you've always beat the NFC East. So, I don't think this year as much, but I do think there are some scenarios where you could beat some playoff-type teams where you're like, man, we just weren't healthy at the beginning of the year. You could blame Jerry for trading Micah.
I do.
Yeah, but even in that scenario, I would say like if you do all that, then you let Pickens go or something like the team drastically changes or something happens.
yeah.
Like
I'm using this team though as an example because I don't see any drastic change. Like, you get a new DC. That would be their most drastic change from what I see. Like, I don't see them. I mean, literally, like I can tell you, I can map it all out the offseason right now. They're not going to be super active in free agency. They're going to try and bring back Javonte Williams. They're going to keep George Pickens, and then they'll fill in some holes on defense with the type of players that they've done before, like with the Kenneth Murray, Eric Kendricks type linebacker, that it'll be a bargain type linebacker that fits with whatever that DC wants. And then they'll fill it in with, they'll probably draft a corner in the first round. They'll probably draft a defensive end in the first round, and then they'll fill in some gaps that way. Probably add another J.W. and Clowney, Dante Fowler type of manageable contract, another DN. So, yeah, sorry, I just ruined your whole offseason, but that's probably what's going to happen. This whole pie in the sky that all of a sudden they're going to be in on some of these big players, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Their big moves was Quinn and Williams, you know. Their big move was going after George Pickens, and then to see the way both of them had success, that's the way that Jerry will look at his big moves. He will not look at it as, oh, I got to go after whoever's the biggest free agent, you know.
Yeah, I also think that at some point there's a 30 for 30 to be done about the Brandon Carr contract in free agency and how that's just completely spooked them beyond belief. I mean, it's crazy how long ago that was and how much it feels like at least it's carried over in their mindset throughout. Yeah,
it's definitely, it would be number one, but then they've had little things along the way that probably fell into it with, I mean, really, I'm not saying this is a blanket statement, but when they've paid guys, they really haven't gotten the return on investment. Yeah. I mean, let's just be honest.
No.
Sure. I mean, you go back to the Jalen Smith, the Z contract,
Terrence Steele,
Lyle Collins. Like, there's so many that you look at Trevon Diggs that you're not getting your return on investment. And so I think that also factors in too, where it's like, man, we gave all that money to these guys and we knew these guys. They were in our building. They were working with our trainers. They were working with our coaches. We knew that these guys, and we missed on all of them. And so I think that's also factors in with them too. Like, we don't even really, because I'll go back to Quinnen Williams. I don't think Quinnen Williams happens without Aaron Whitecotton being like, telling Jerry behind the scenes, like, I'm telling you, I work with this dude in New York. Like, he is the guy on and off the field, the way he takes care of his body, all that stuff. Like, you can trust this guy to be a team leader. I mean, and you've seen it, like, just on the team this year, how he is. You're like, man, there's a lot of value in that. So, like, for all the people that, gave it an F grade when that trade happened, like, I think it's because there's some people that knew a lot more behind the scenes than people that just judged it from afar.
For another day, do you think Kenny Clark's here next year? I'm sure we could do this.
Man, he's another one I like a lot. He's probably the one. He's going to probably get the good guy award, which is voted on, by the media.
Everyone loves him.
Yeah, I mean, Dak could get it every year, but we try and do like I was saying, like Tyler Smith has gotten it before, but no, Kenny Clark is great. And I mean, what was the exact question you asked again? How did you word the question? Now I'll give you the answer.
That's a good question because I think let me pull up his contract details.
If he's willing to rework some of his deal, yes, he'll be back. If he wants to stand on business, no, he probably won't.
No, his cap number's $21 million next year.
Yeah,
and then $20 million and that. But like all that. Yeah, no, he can't. You can't. Well, I mean, you can.
I will say, from
you
talking
can
to
have
him,
Osa, Quinnen, and Kenny Clark at $60 million. You can.
I think what they have at defensive
shouldn't.
tackle right now is also indicative of something that is frustrating with the approach that the front office takes, which is like they just always are swinging at extremes. It just feels like you need a running back, you're going to draft him number four, pay him beyond market value for what running backs are going for a second contract, and then all of a sudden you're just going to ignore the position completely. And then same thing with like defensive tackle, where it's like you did absolutely nothing, and now you're gonna have three $20 million players, and it's fine, but it feels very reactionary, and I'm not overly critical because they are good players. Like, it's not a shot at Kenny Clark, Osa, and Quinnen Williams. It's just I wish the approach to it was a little bit more planned out to better than what it looks like now.
Yeah, it's like talking to Jerry after the game, and he talks about how he does change. This 30-year Super Bowl drought, he does make changes. And to Saad's point, those are the changes he makes. They're massive swings one way or the other, where you look at the teams that are consistently Super Bowl contenders, like the wealth is spread out. There isn't a lot of big swings in only one area. I mean, just when you bring it up, like just the kickers, like even the Eagles are paying their kicker. You know what I'm saying? Like,
sure.
Where with the Cowboys, they do, and I hate even saying, like, going back to the Micah thing, I hate saying Cowboys because it's really not. It's the whole organization. It's Jerry Jones. Like, so many of these decisions, you're just like, I can see how they'll be different.
Yeah.
After Jerry Jones, but because of him and the way he operates. That's why you're sitting here with the way that things go right now.
Any cut or trade of Kenny Clark saves you $41.5 million over the next 2 years. It saves you $20 million a year. Say it that way, I guess. Cut or trade. So, yeah. Maybe he'll work, though. Maybe he'll work with you. Figure all that out. Before we move on and talk a few things, I have a couple questions about the Washington game, for real, seriously. It's time for Jerry Said What?
What do you want to see from Matt Eberflus over these last 3 weeks defensively?
Well, I'd like to play better defense.
Succinct and to the point. And I don't know.
But you know that wasn't it.
Well, I don't know if Eberflus is going to play better defense.
27 sentences that followed that.
I don't know how you guys transcribe Jerry. It doesn't make any sense to me. How you even
Well, I
do
will
it.
say these are getting a
Where
lot
do you
better.
put the punctuation marks? I don't even know. It's crazy, dude.
I will say I try and edit it a little bit in terms of the putting in some extra commas or periods to break up the sentences.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Like George Pickens on his Instagram post.
Yeah. So that people understand it a little bit more. I try and write that way too, to be honest. I think I told you this before.
Yeah.
Like I'm telling you, Kevin Sherrington is the one that I've noticed, like when I first got down here, like Kevin Sherrington writes on he's a columnist for the Dallas Morning News for people that don't know. Great guy. He just writes just very solid, like concise, very like no meat left on the bone sentences that are just boom, 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 gets right to the point. And that is so opposite of what Jerry Jones is. Which,
Oh my God.
like I told Todd Archer this the other day after we were leaving the locker room, I was like, he talks in that way so that you can take it whatever way you want. You want to say that, I don't know, there was something here where I think Eberflus is back. He'll leave you something. Mm-hmm. And then he'll give you 17 other sentences where you can be like, oh, no, there's no way he's coming back now. Not with that. We talked to him for 30 minutes after the game.
It's the number one reason why whenever you're talking to Jerry, you ask the same question over and over again.
Absolutely.
And it's a very unique approach because if Schottenheimer said something in a press conference, you asked the question last week about, are you going to bench Dak and do you want to see Joe Milton? And he was very short and to the point.
Yeah, that was great. I love that.
Nobody needs to follow up on that. You're not getting anything else. You're not getting a different direction, at least in that same press conference. If that's Jerry, you follow up. I think your question was, do you want to sit Dak? If that was Jerry and Jerry gave that answer, I would follow up with, do you want to see Joe Milton? Same question, just package it a different way, see what he says. Yeah. Do you want to see Will Greer? Because you might get a different answer. Whereas like with Schottenheimer or really any other guy, you're really not going to get that.
PR did clarify, though, after the press conference was over, that he wasn't trying to take a shot at Joe Milton when he said that.
Of course.
So,
yeah.
But I know, it was, they did want to make sure, which means that Shotty wanted to make sure that we knew that he wasn't trying to do that, which I get. But no, so 30 minutes of Jerry. So at that point, it's like, I'm all in on like, hey, he doesn't always talk after the road games. We got 2 road games left, even though Giants is a pretty good one because where he sits is pretty close to the press box. He has to walk through the press box to get to his suite. But we might not get him for the rest of the season. So I started throwing some randoms at the end. Like, I was like, do you ever think about how, like, there's so many sports leagues and so many teams and, like, no other owner talks to us the way that you do? And he was like, well, I don't know about other owners. I'm just sitting there thinking, like, well, which one is even close? Who's even second right now?
Not one.
To me, Jim Irsay was second.
Yeah.
from
Probably second
the
would have.
NFL.
Yeah. Second probably would have been Mark Cuban.
Yeah.
Cuban,
before.
Cuban for sure. Yeah.
But like a lot of these people that were his rivals in that, or even nobody's been a rival of his in that realm, but anybody that was even closer, there's really not anybody left like that.
Balmer, maybe.
Al Davis.
Yeah.
I don't know. What's the best quote you've heard this year from Mark Murphy?
I haven't heard. Well, he's not in there anymore. It's Ed Policy.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
What's Ed had to say?
Once you're 70, you're not allowed to move on.
What has Ed said about the special teams?
Nothing, but there's a theory that he's very unhappy with how the season's turned out.
Oh.
So I don't think that ramps up the hot seat for Matt LaFleur, but it's something to think about. Gen Z and Gen Alpha would not be able to handle Jerry. Like, and Gen Alpha is probably not going to have to, but like Gen Z, like seriously, like our attention spans are not made for Jerry Jones. They used to be, but where it's all going. And most people's attention spans now, they can't handle Jerry for that long.
I think it would be tough. I really do, to cover the team as a fan, because there's a lot of stuff that he does and says where it would leave you even more frustrated.
Yeah.
But not being a fan of the team, I probably shouldn't even say this.
Put you in
but
the
like,
sweet spot, though.
Man,
Yeah.
there's so many of them I walk away where I'm like, man, this is awesome.
It's great.
This is
No,
so
I
good.
love it too, and it's
Yeah.
probably because I'm a Packers fan. Whatever.
I mean it from like my job standpoint. Where
Yeah.
I'm like, man, there's so much
Yeah.
to work with here. This
oh
is
my God,
great.
our whole life. Like,
Yeah.
yes.
Another thing that I feel like Jerry kind of does every time you listen to him, I feel like, I'm not saying he's consciously doing this, but I think he's programmed his brain. When you watch any of those network debate shows or something, and they have like a line underneath and it's a quote or like a phrase, he speaks in those quotes and phrases. Like, it feels like he wants to make sure like we need better defense. It's almost like he knows like that needs to be right there. And that's what you're going to be talking about, how we kind of are right now. But he does it on like contradicting things.
Sure.
Like John said, he'll leave every window open. If you are a pro Jerry, if you are Stephen A. Smith and you hate the Cowboys, he'll give you things that you can put right there and then create a whole show out of it. And if you're somebody that's, a Cowboy fan show, he'll give you something right there. And it'll be a phrase, a quote, something that you can just run with. And if you're, and then if you're like an actual journalist, as John said, there's 27 other sentences and you'll parse through all that. But if you're not, if you're just somebody that's, debate show like, you'll have something that you can run with right there.
I also love the people that say like, well, you guys only do this because, you want to be in Jerry's good graces. Like, whether it could be writing something, it could be just however you carry yourself. He does not care.
That one's amazing.
I've been around
right?
him so many times with so many reporters that have been around the team since he bought it. I mean, after the game on Sunday, the group that I was in included Tim Kalishaw and I'm trying to think who else. Matt Mosley's been around for a long time. Ed Warder was there. I mean, these are guys that you think that they've just written positive stuff about Jerry during this 30-year Super Bowl drought, and he is just cordial with them as he is with anybody else that's around there. So the idea that any of us do this stuff to try and Jerry doesn't care about that. I understand there's been one radio interview, which happened last year, where he snapped, and people think that like he's changed or something like that. He really hasn't. Like, he knows that there's a lot of negative written about him, and he's fine with it. And he still walks out of the locker room or he still talks on the radio every week.
And I'll tell you, I've covered the NBA, the NHL, NFL. Of everybody I've ever covered, Jerry is probably number one in terms of notoriety and fame and all that. And there is nobody that I feel less sweat about asking a question to, because I know, like, you don't have to phrase it to where he's not going to be offended or anything. You can ask him point blank what things that you would normally have to massage a little bit to ask the general manager of, the Dallas Stars or the Dallas Mavericks, whatever. With Jerry, you can, it can be very direct, and he will answer those questions because, like John said, like, it's just not something that he doesn't get offended and hurt or butthurt by those things. The other thing, and we've had this discussion multiple times, of the regular, like, he knows Tim Kalishaw and stuff like that. Of the regular beat reporters, I'm not sure he knows more than 3 names. He doesn't have, like, they act like we're like reporters have this like deep personal connection or something. He knows Clarence, he knows maybe Todd Archer, and that's about it. Everybody else is just in a big lump, and like, he might know your name one Sunday and then maybe not the next. And that's part of him too. But I'm just saying, like, and it has nothing to do with if you've been covering the team for 3 years or 20 years. It's just kind of what it is.
Dude, he does business too, so you remember more people in that line of work. He knows Comstock people, stuff like that. I just think, I was working at the Fan for 6 years, the flagship station, would always get that. And even here, even like other stations like run promos too about it. And I'm like, man, Jerry only cared. He only called in a couple of times when he got mad about things that it got relayed to him that this was being said. And it's only the idea if you tried to say that he didn't care about winning or if you talked about his mortality. Those are the only 2 things.
Oh, it's very
that would
clear.
Piss him off.
Took 2 questions with the follow-up about allegedly kissing that woman in the laundry room.
I mean,
and he took that on the radio.
Yeah.
Like, even on the follow-up, I was like, oh, he's going to shut this down. And he was like, and I mean, I don't remember the quote exactly, but man, like, I almost dropped my phone. Like, I had to be somewhere and I had to call someone and be like, I'm not going to be there. I have to write this real quick. Like, I can't believe that he answered. Like,
sure.
I just thought of it from the point of his lawyer has to be listening to this going, oh my God, don't say this right now. Like, he straight up said it was a money grab, like, on the radio.
It's just the idea, though, that anything would go out of their way to, like, stay in, like, the Dude, they do not operate like that. They do not care.
And
You're talking about them, they're happy.
And that's why it was a good thing to see that documentary that came out this past summer, because for multiple reasons. One, even when the trailer came out, you had the catch-all quote of soap opera, 365 days, whatever. But even the whole documentary, if you watch that whole documentary and you know that Jerry is behind it, you would think it would be a lot softer on Jerry the way that Robert Kraft's documentary on the Patriots was, villainizing Belichick and being very pro Kraft. You would expect that of the Cowboys documentary if Jerry is controlling the stuff. Sure. Same thing with The Last Dance, right? But it was pretty critical of Jerry. Like, that documentary was not kissing his ass. And so, like, that's to your point, like, he's not worried about that.
All right, here's a quote. This is Jerry Jones in October, so not even that long ago, about his pending sexual assault case on the team's flagship radio station. I think we're in it 7 years. It's the same one that's been around for a long time. And I allegedly, when taking a picture with her after a New York Giants game 7 years ago, I allegedly kissed her. Of course, I don't remember that or deny that. There's no picture. Hold on. There's no pictures. There's no witnesses, in my view. This thing needs to move on down the road. Then the follow-up about his thoughts on the legal system. I'm not going to complain about the system that we have in America. It's flawed, but it's the best there is in the world. You just see where it goes from here. It's just a case of trying to, in my mind, get money that you don't deserve.
Oh, man. That is, very on brand.
He's one of one.
I remember I worked at a station for a short time called 97.1 The Freak, and there was a new guy who came in from out of town, hadn't been in radio very long, but he was the guy who had all the power. And I remember him freaking out one day because it just broke another update on one of the Jerry Jones off the field charges. And he's like, go run it in there. Go run it in there. I think Ben and Skin were doing their show the time. Go run it in there too. And I'm like, dude, we get stories like this all the time. We've been talking about this for years. This is not urgent. Like, unless it really is something, it was just kind of crazy. But that's like how everyone thinks. It's good to see how a guy from out of town would think about this. Oh, go talk about it. It's the big thing. I'm like, not with Jerry. It's not. We've done this a million times. There's no update here.
The one that always sticks out to me in my years covering the team is the way that he fielded questions on the Arkansas stuff.
Yeah.
How long and how many different segments. I mean,
it's crazy.
It was the question in the main scrum, in the walk-off. There was emotions. There was something that most people would pretty quickly try to just like dismiss, and I'm not talking about it. Like, no, like he went back 50 years and whatever it was and tried to talk about it. It was. Yeah,
I also see it from a point of being around him long enough too, where when that picture came out, it made me think of the people that obviously knew of that picture, knew that was going to be published and that. And I don't know who they are, but I'm sure at least one person out of all these people were like, man, he's done.
We got him.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, if you think so.
Let's do picks and get out of here. You guys think? You guys want to do picks?
Let's do it.
Let's do some picks here. John, 23 wins. Kent, 21 wins. 19 for me and Sod. 3 games this week. Cowboys. So right now it's up very weird because we kind of still don't know who all is going to play, really, for both teams. But
they're playing to win, KT.
Yeah, we're playing to win, and you're doing it for Santa.
Right. Good point. I didn't think about that.
Dallas, 5.5-point favorites in Washington. John, we'll start with you.
Yeah, Cowboys. NFC East. Washington's not very good. Who knows who will be their quarterback?
Yeah.
It's hard to pick against the Cowboys when they've talked about how they want to continue playing starters. So if I don't know. Forget that. Even if it was Joe Milton, I still think they win. So, yeah, Cowboys.
Well, it's some Jeff Driscoll this week. That'd be good for you guys?
Dude, Josh Johnson.
Hartman.
I was just randomly looking at it. Like, when you go to a player's Wikipedia page, on the right side, it's all the teams that he's been on. And if you combine all the different leagues he's played in, whatever, take a guess, because I know the number. Take a guess how many teams.
I'm going to say 20.
25.
Yeah.
He's been on 25 teams. 15 NFL teams.
That guy's got a lot of helmets.
15 NFL teams, and there's like 3 or 4 different stints. I think he's had 49ers 3 stints maybe. Jets a couple of times. I think Ravens a couple of times, whatever. But like, there's 25 different lines, and he was drafted in the 5th round in 2008.
A spectacular career.
That is pretty amazing.
It is amazing.
Good for him.
Okay, we'll go to Sod.
Yeah, give me the Cowboys as
Cowboys.
well. Yeah, it doesn't really matter who's quarterbacking the Commanders. I think there's not enough there.
Kent.
Dallas.
-5.5. We move on. Buffalo at Philadelphia. The Bills -2.5. So 2.5 point favorites. Sorry, the Bills 2.5 point favorites in Philadelphia though. That game's not in Philadelphia. Why did I say that? This game's in Buffalo. Yes, the Bills 2.5 point favorites at home. Sorry. Sod.
Yeah, give me the Bills.
All right. Kent.
Buffalo.
2.5. I'll
Come
take Buffalo.
Oh, come on.
I know.
You're lame.
I know. John.
I'm going to take Buffalo, but I still think I'm not completely out on the Eagles going back to the Super Bowl. I think they get this thing back on the tracks, but give me Buffalo because it's in Buffalo.
You know, we're talking about wide receiver by committee, and then some teams want 2 wide receivers. Buffalo's like, we got none. We have Shakir. He's fine. Keon Coleman can't even get on the field. Your Florida State guy.
I know, it's disappointing.
Hell's going on?
All I know is that when he played at Florida State, they never lost a game.
Yeah, that's true. They
It
were
was
good
only for
there.
one season, but it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
a great run for Keon.
Good. And
And he also, you know what he put on the map?
how's Mike Norvell doing now?
Not well. He's the one that put on the map the whole, I'm sure there's some high school kid or something, but on a national stage, the whole multiple mouth guards.
Hmm.
Have you noticed how that's picked up?
Yeah,
Pickens
it's
does that.
weird.
Yeah, I've never seen it, but
Yeah.
like he would literally wear like they would play Miami. Obviously, they're not orange and what are they, green? I don't know what their exact colors are because I don't care. But he would wear those 2 colors of mouth guards. Obviously, Florida State is garnet and gold, and he would wear those whatever team he was playing, and wear an orange and blue one against Florida. So yeah, and that's apparently has caught on. But yes, but in terms of
now
how he
he's-
plays as a Buffalo Bill, not well.
He had like one good game earlier this year, and everyone was all bought in. And
Jeff
then
Goldman's the next.
He,
Yeah.
well, I mean, he is a filthy athlete.
They also had a Shavers game too, though.
they had a Shakir game too.
Yeah, and Shakir's solid, but
Yeah.
geez.
I mean, Keon Coleman is one of those guys. Like a lot of professional athletes think they can play multiple sports professionally. I'm not saying that Keon Coleman could play professional basketball, but I mean, he's a really good basketball player too. I mean, when he was at Michigan State, he played both.
Kent, we'll start with you. Bears. At San Francisco. The Bears will be getting 2.5 points here. 2.5 point underdogs there, Kent.
Oh, yeah. Give me Chicago.
I knew it. Kent's a big follower from the outside looking in of the Caleb Williams experiment. I'm going to take 49ers -2.5. I think they kind of are going to need it a little bit more. Whereas both teams might need it. The Bears might not be playing for anything on Sunday. They might realize that. They might be good. So I'm going to take San Francisco. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, same deal. 49ers for sure. I mean, I like Caleb Williams too. I think that we were talking before the show. I think that the Bears finally got their quarterback.
But I also think the Bears are kind of last year's Commanders a little bit.
Okay. I like that.
But also, it's a loaded Coach of the Year field. If the 49ers win out and if they get the 1 seed, I think I have to give it to Kyle Shanahan. I mean,
Yeah.
you lose Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, Brock Purdy for a large chunk, and you end up with the 1 seed in the NFC. And I know what Vrabel's doing. Ben Johnson's been great. There's a lot of really good candidates. But Mike McDonald, Sean McVay's always in there. It's just there's a lot of worthy candidates. But if the 49ers somehow get the 1 seed in the NFC, that's insane
That's crazy.
given the injuries that they've had. And then you're talking about Ayuk hasn't played all year. Juwan Jennings was out for some time. Ricky Pearsall was out for some time. George Kittle was out for some time.
Fred Warner on the other side.
Yeah, Fred Warner and Nick Bosa. The only one that hasn't been out is McCaffrey, which is kind of ironic given his injury history. But other than McCaffrey, everyone has missed time. And you got stuff out of Jake Tongas as tight end, and like
Yeah.
Kendrick Bourne had a
game.
had a couple of games. Like, it's crazy what they have done in San Francisco. And again, contingent a little bit on them winning the next 2, but Kyle Shanahan would probably get my Coach of the Year vote.
All right, the road to Topeka continues. We'll get back to let you know who won the picks, all that next week. We are just want to say thank you to the Haymaker Network for having us here at the studios here in Frisco. We'll be doing our midweek podcast here. We'll talk to you sometime after the game on Thursday. Hope everyone has a good holidays. Hope everyone's Netflix works fine. Maybe you can steal a friend's account if you don't have it, because it's weird. They're putting the games on Netflix. Streaming is the answer, I guess. Thank you all for watching, and we'll talk to you next time on the One Star Cowboys podcast.
The One Star Cowboys podcast. The One Star Cowboys podcast. The One Star Cowboys podcast. Presented by Haymaker. Presented by Haymaker. Presented by Haymaker.